Stranger Things has finally come to an end after almost a decade, and it was honestly pretty meh. Spoilers ahead, so let's get into it. The story picks up where we left off with the gang in the Upside Down heading to face off with Vecna and save the children. Hopper, 11, 8, and Murray head to Hawkins' lab to plant explosives near the erratic matter, and for 11 to use the deprivation tank to find Vecna and stop the world's merging close to the radio tower so the others can make it in to the other world called the Abyss to save the children and kill Vecna. Everything is going according to plan before Hopper's group is attacked by the military. After getting an alright scene where Vecna shows him some illusions of his daughter and makes him believe that he accidentally killed 11, causing him to break her out of her tank early, pulling her from Henry's mind. Hopper and 11 kill the squad attacking them. However, 8 is shot and dies, which, out of my predictions on who was gonna die from my last video, I got 2 out of 3. And those are the only ones from the main cast that don't make it through. Now, back in Henry's mind, the children have escaped into the cave thinking they're safe, but Henry forces himself to enter. Here we get the end of the memory we saw before of him in the mine shaft, and this created a large issue for me, because it introduces something that they should have been building up instead of wasting all this time on people like Robin and other non-essential characters. Anyways, in the mine, Henry picks up a stone from the briefcase that merges him with the mind flare, and we see it actually speaks to Henry, telling him to find it. This needed to be done sooner, then we could have gotten more scenes of them interacting, but this is the only time we get to see the two of them actually communicate. Will is jacked into the hive mind at this point, and they start to make it seem like Henry can be redeemed, as Will tells him it wasn't his fault and that he was being controlled. But Henry shoots that shit down and remains the villain, which I like. Back to Mike's group, they all made it into the Abyss and are searching for the children. Here shit gets kinda silly. After the 15th heart-to-heart between characters, which honestly becomes more miss than hit just because the sheer volume of them at this point. Anyways, they find Vecna's fortress, and it turns into a spider kaiju. Yeah. Also, Demogorgons, Demodogs, and Demobats just no longer exist. You don't see a single one in this episode, which you think they'd be all over to protect Vecna during his final plan. They have to run away a bit from the big spider. 11 shows up, saves them, jumps inside the spider to fight Vecna. Here the group on the outside decides to attack the spider to help 11, with Nancy dressed like Rambo, attacking as bait to lead it toward a cliff, where the rest start firebombing the kaiju. Now, this is kind of a crazy idea because all of the children are inside this thing, but they torch it and unload bullets into it indiscriminately. But whatever, no one dies, except the spider and Vecna, which is an underwhelming ending to them. Joyce hacks his head off with an axe after he's impaled by 11. And that's all Joyce does this season. Now, as far as a mind flare, I think it's still alive. The spider's heart had already stopped, and when the tubes are removed from the kids' mouths, they puke up the black smoke that the mind flare is made out of as it floats to the air and disappears. And all of this happens roughly halfway through the episode. Everyone makes it out of the Upside Down after they set the charges to destroy it. They're caught by the military at the entrance in Hawkins, but once again the military serves no purpose. Actually, I take that back. They're only here to set up what's going to happen to 11, who goes back into the Upside Down as it's being destroyed so they can't have her blood to make more psychics. But oddly, none of them try to get her while she's just standing in the entrance. Then there's another 18-month skip, and the military is gone, but everyone is free. Even though Hopper mowed down in the double digits of soldiers, he wasn't arrested somehow. Now it goes to the epilogue that's too drug out. The graduation was good, and Hopper and Mike's talk next to the new memorial in town about grief and living with it is well done. Robin at the radio station was pointless. The 4 on top of the station talking is too long. But Hopper proposing to Joyce was nice, and seeing the main cast playing D&D again was good. Here Mike tells some stories about where they all might end up, before going into a story about how 11 is still alive, which I think is just something he made up to cope with losing her, because I believe she died. It all ends with the kids putting their D&D books on the shelf as they one by one exit the basement. On Mike's way up, Holly and her friends come down to play a campaign. He watches them for a second before closing the door and it fades to black. I personally would have liked it better if they didn't come down and Mike just switches off the light before closing the door, showing that everyone was moving on with their lives and leaving everything from Hawkins and their childhoods behind. So this wasn't the worst finale ever, not even close. The largest problem is the season in total. The things introduced in this episode about the Upside Down, Vecna, and the Mind Flare could have been better explained instead of the pointless side quest that went on throughout. I suppose spin-offs could have been made to explain more, and I guess there is a play that exists about Henry, but neither of those are the show I watched. The finale was just mediocre for a show that's been running for almost a decade, with 3 years in between seasons to where they could have ironed out a lot of these issues. Now, would I recommend the series? Maybe. It's honestly one you can start and stop whenever you feel like it's no longer for you, even if it's in the first season and you won't really miss anything. Well, that's all I've got. See you later.
I hope you sleep well. I hope you had fun. I thank you for being here, Emperor. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, Crimson and Mysterious. Hope you had fun.